Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld, and on today's episode of Weapon of the Week, we're taking a look at one of my favourite PDWs, the AS VAL. This loadout was suggested by Jake Morgan in the comments of last week's video, so don't forget, if you'd like to suggest a weapon and customization for next week's episode, then feel free to leave it in the comment section below. But anyway, the AS VAL has always been a gun that I've had a soft spot for because it was actually one of my most used weapons in BF3. In BF4 though, the AS VAL is a very different gun because unlike in previous games, it's now a CQB monster instead of a super accurate long-range weapon. The VAL is either a gun you learn to love or you learn to hate in BF4 because it's one of the most powerful guns in CQB, but it's balanced out by some pretty hefty drawbacks. It's also the only gun in the game with a suppressor that you can't take off, and that limits its effectiveness considerably in anything but an aggressive stealth role. It took me quite a while to get used to the new AS VAL initially, but I've grown to love the new gun because of its super fast 900 RPM rate of fire and its hard hitting damage model. This gun absolutely shreds anyone in close quarters, and it has the fastest time to kill of any weapon in the game, beating out the infamous AEK, the FAMAS and even the CZ3A1. The problem with the VAL though is that its damage drop off, like most PDWs, is pretty steep, and by about 20 to 25 meters, weapons like the FAMAS and the AEK have started to catch up. Also, the recoil of this gun is fairly high, and it only has a capacity of 21 rounds, so this is something that you'll have to get used to if you hope to have any sort of success with the AS VAL. But anyway, the setup Jake suggested for this video is probably the setup I actually would have chosen for the gun myself, because it turns it into an even more effective gun at close range. In these clips I'm running the AS VAL with the Cobra sight for maximum field of view, laser and ergo for hipfire and mobility, and of course the integral suppressor, which will keep me off the minimap. You'll notice all of these clips are on Locker TDM, which is by far one of the best maps to make use of the VAL strengths in CQB. I ended this round with a comfortable MVP score of 25-2, and to be honest I actually felt a little overpowered running around with this particular setup, carving through enemy players like butter. To finish up though, my buddy and fellow YouTuber Lachlan Cotter once said that the AS VAL was a scrub weapon, and even though rounds like this would lead you to believe that this could be true, it's not really the case all of the time. On anything but TDM and domination, you're going to get shot to pieces at mid-range by assault rifles and carbines, and on Rush and Conquest it's not always an option to force opponents into CQB. When you can manage to sneak up on enemies though, there really isn't a more satisfying gun to use, assuming of course you're accurate enough to make those 21 rounds count. That in itself is the tricky part, but if you can manage to tame this unruly beast, the AS VAL is by far one of the best and most unique weapons in the game, and this setup is probably the best way to run it. But anyway, that just about wraps up this week's episode of Weapon of the Week, so let me know what you think of the AS VAL in the comment section below, and feel free to suggest a loadout for next week's episode. As always, if you like what you see, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and if you haven't already, please check out all my other Battlefield 4 videos. I've got them all linked in a playlist in the description below. But until next time, see you later, and have a good one.